Alright, what is up folks? Welcome back to my channel, and in this video I want to bring back the topic of the extremely low fertility rates are seen around the world. And most importantly, I want to focus on China. I mentioned before, right now China's fertility rate is just barely over 1, which is only about 50% of the replacement level of 2.1. And if this trend continues, it will spell doom for China and ultimately the world's economy. And one of the topics that's really brought up is the topic of infertility. And I've seen this happen more and more often, where a record number of women, and not just in China, I'm talking about worldwide, are just not able to get pregnant anymore. And if they were able to get pregnant, it's very common for them to have a miscarriage. Or in many cases, they're forced to have a C-section and they cannot give birth naturally. And I learned so much on this topic through my older sister, and I want to expand on this topic. During my sister's second marriage, this is when she had her first daughter, and I noticed something because I was right there with her at the hospital for, I would say, roughly 2 weeks. And I noticed that I would say at least 60 to 70% of the Chinese women at the hospital there, they were not able to give birth naturally. Most of them had to get a C-section. So a couple of things I've observed at the hospital when I was there, I was looking, okay? Many of these pregnant Chinese women, they're getting morbidly obese, okay? That is 100% not natural. It's not healthy for the baby and it's not healthy for the mother. And if you look at various medical research and studies, typically I would say a healthy weight for a woman to put on during her 9 months pregnancy, it's anywhere between 35 to 40 pounds. Before my sister's pregnancy during her second marriage, I would say she weighed roughly anywhere between 95 to 100 pounds maximum, okay? That sounds extremely light, but keep in mind that she's 5'3", so that's a pretty normal weight for a Chinese woman, to be 5'3" and around 100 pounds. Do you guys know what her weight reached during the peak of her pregnancy? Her weight ballooned to 200 pounds, or 90 kilos, okay? In China, they use the metric units, so 90 kilos is roughly 200 pounds. So her weight actually doubled in 9 months. There's no way you can tell me that's healthy for you. And I think this is one of the many consequences of the 35 years one-child policy. I understand, if you're pregnant, now you have 2 mouths to feed. You have to get the extra nutrients to your body. But do you really need to eat, 7, 8, 10 meals a day? And do you need to have all of these supplements? Do you need to be eating, shark fin soup or have bear paws for breakfast? Absolutely not. I think this has had a permanent effect on many Chinese mothers, and it's because of these extreme diets. This is the reason why so many of them are not able to give birth naturally, and this is also the reason why so many women are becoming infertile. Right? You think about back in the day, the reason why China's population grew so fast was, back in the day, any Chinese woman could push out 5, 6, 7, 8 babies. But now, even though China's one-child policy ended, so many women can't even get out one. And in the cases if they do manage to get pregnant, so many of them are forced to perform a C-section. So that's just the one thing I've noticed. Also, one more thing I want to mention, right? If you actually travel to China, especially if you go to the north, you'll see what's happening is that there's a massive overweight and obesity epidemic that's happening in many places across China. And do you guys know why that's happening? It's very obvious. You see, back in the day, right, when every family had 5, 6, 7 children, you eat whatever you can, and you have to eat fast. If you don't eat fast, you don't get to eat. But now every family, was forced to only have one child, right? And everybody's like, oh my God, there's my boy, there's my baby girl. You're so special, you're so sweet. I'm going to give you all the candy in this world. I'm going to give you all the treats, all the ice creams, the best meats in this world, the best seafood in this world. So they're being constantly stuffed by their parents to the maximum. That's why so many of these Chinese kids, they're turning morbidly obese. And this is coming from someone that used to be morbidly obese. Nothing good will ever come out of this. And there's another factor to consider. And I'm sorry, to any vegans that's watching this video, you can go F-U-C-K yourself. We were 100 times healthier when everybody had a normal diet. Have some barbecue, have some baby back ribs, have a rack of lamb, eat your veggies, No, and when you look at the civilization as a whole, everybody is healthier. And then now look at what's happening. Look at what's happening in America. Over 100 million Americans are living with underlying health conditions now. In case if you guys didn't notice something, anybody that has a really, really weird diet, I'm talking about ranging from, ovo-lacto vegetarian, pescatarian, vegetarian. There are also many people I know who are part-time vegans or part-time vegetarians, or they're on keto diet. You notice every single person that's on these extremely weird diets, almost every single one of them is a woman. Ladies, Please stop going on these weird diets. Just eat your meats and your vegetables. I'm telling you, there's a massive correlation between these two factors. This has happened to many members of my family, where so many of these women, they're just not able to get pregnant. And I think a huge contributing factor is that they keep putting themselves through these extremely weird diets, and these diets are permanently damaging their bodies. And there's also one more topic I want to bring back. I'm talking about the 1 month confinement for new Chinese moms. They have got to get rid of this. It's 100% ridiculous. Look at this picture. This is all the rules that all these brand new Chinese moms have to have after they give birth. Literally, I've seen it with my sister. She was put on a rocking chair and she was going like this just for the entire month. And they have to be fed a very specific diet. And you have to hire a specific 1 month nanny just to keep this diet, where she has to eat 6 times a day. But all the meals are in these tiny little dishes, right? She cannot be exposed to any electronics, which I think that's a good idea. But she's not allowed to be exposed to sunlight. All the curtains, all the drapes have to be closed. There cannot be any fans, there cannot be any air conditioning. And she's not allowed to wear t-shirt or shorts. She has to wear sweatpants and sweater to cover every single part of her body. No, I'm not making this up, okay? You can look this up. It's called 坐月子, which means, literally sitting for a month. And by the way, this is an ancient tradition that's been passed down in China for, thousands of years. But way back then, only the royalty got this kind of treatment. I'm talking about queens, I'm talking about concubines, emperors, and princesses. The peasants never got this kind of treatment. My grandmother, she had one friend that had 15 kids, okay? And unfortunately, her husband was a deadbeat, and she had to raise all 15 children all on her own. And she had someone to help her with the birth of her very first child. Someone that helped her with the delivery and the cutting of the umbilical cord. But other than that, the rest of the 14 children, okay, she did everything on her own with no help at all, just in her own bedroom. She pushed out the baby on her own. She cleaned the baby. She cut the umbilical cord. She put the clamps on. And right after she gave birth to the baby, she started cleaning the house and she started cooking dinner for the husband. And then she would go on to milk the baby. By the way, 14 out of those 15 children, one died in infancy, okay? The other 14 are still alive today. But this is what I'm talking about. All these insane diets that's being fed to these Chinese people, especially the Chinese woman. Stop going on these weird keto, keratin diet. Stop trying to be a vegan. Stop trying to be an ovo-lacto pescatarian. These diets are destroying your bodies. And listen, you gotta slowly phase out of this sitting for a month thing, because I really don't think this will do anything good for you. That's why, I think in the future, I would say probably 20 to 30 years from now, I would say 90% of the births in China are all going to be performed by C-section. And I would say probably that anywhere between 30 to 50% of Chinese women are going to be infertile due to these extreme practices. Just, lean back and enjoy life. Have some General Tao chicken. Have some Chinese egg roll. But whatever happens in the future, I doubt that any of these practices are going to change. I think it's only going to get worse. I think, soon you'll see that when you walk into a hospital, it's possible that you could see a pregnant Chinese woman that's, 250, 275, or even 300 pounds. And I honestly think that our society is truly doomed.